gaming bets. Online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO? Guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Welcome back, folks. We are live here at the PGL CSGO Minor Championships Asia, coming to you live at the Pinewood Iskandar, Malaysia Studios. Fancy, fancy movie studio. If you're a fan of the Marco Polo TV series, getting ready to go into season 3, that is all filmed here on location. So it's a really, really cool place. I kind of wish I was staying a day so I could actually go and see like the outside sets and like. You don't get to see movie studios very often, so TV and movie studio, I should say. So, again, we're going to jump right into Athletico MVP, but before we do that, I want to bring everyone up to speed on the other match that's happening right now. Bot won that first game that we talked about, so they're playing Fire Dragoons right now in the elimination match in Group B. So Cash went to Bot 16-10, and now Dust 2 just went to Fire Dragoons 16-14. So they're going to go into their last map, Train. There's got Go TVs available for that, as well as if you check out Half-Life TV, so you might even have some people streaming it themselves as well. But let's jump into the rematch of the day. Obviously, these guys played earlier today in the best of 1, and now we got a best of 3.
Yeah, best of 3 coming up. I'm expecting a bit of different map pool. It shouldn't be too surprising, honestly, given how we're going to get 2 more. So bound to be some diversity. But
good call there.
Yeah, no, I'm constantly bringing out wise words here, proverbs, and so on. But no, I'm expecting this. Even though we saw a pretty close game going through the first one, I'm expecting this to be like a safer situation for MVP to be in. I think they're the clear favorite going into it. Even though we've seen more structure and more like sound CS coming out of Athletico, I still think they're going to have issues actually just going toe-to-toe with MVP and their individuals, like we saw being an issue on the first matchup as well.
Yeah. And if you're just tuning in and you're unfamiliar with that first matchup, they played a best of 1 on Train, and MVP took that 21-19 and went into overtime. So that's where we're at.
And MVP was at like 14-7 at one point too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Bit of a meltdown there for the Koreans, but they. I was talking with the notorious Kan Yang for a little bit there before they went on the stage, and he felt that they have the water map pool and they are just a better team in general. So he was feeling really comfortable going into this, and I guess the game will show if it's just him being overconfident or if it's actually true. I guess so far these teams have played 4 maps, against one another, and so far it's 3-1 to MVP. So they should, I guess, feel confident.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about the rosters for MVP. And again, the newest addition to MVP is not in Korea yet, but Ron Rambo Kim, the famous 3D player who
Apparently, speaks pretty good Korean as well.
Yeah, I heard that. So he's on his way. Well, in mid-November, he heads over there to reside in Korea and help this team as their coach and kind of get them to the next level, which is great. Great for him.
Yeah.
I know he's been aspiring and trying to figure out a way to get back in. I think he knew his playing days were over, but he certainly wanted to get back involved in the game.
Yeah, it's great for these guys as well, though. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, they're in a situation where they need someone to literally give them lections, go through round by round a demo from let's say their game against Athletico in the opener game, right? And just go by each situation of what are the things you did wrong, what are the things you did right, and then kind of just drill it through their heads of, okay, these are the timings you need to get correct, or these little things you just don't do right, and that kind of a thing needs to happen, I think.
Oh, for sure.
And roster-wise, what pops out for you on that roster?
Well, for MVP, it's going to be a bit of a rinse repeat, but Sign for me has been kind of the big standout player. I guess we kind of have to mention Rinda as well. I haven't really brought him up as a specific player to look out for, but he's been playing well so far in both of the games for MVP. I think he's been top fragging actually in both of them, even though it was a losing effort versus Tai Lu. So it's good to see him coming online as well, because normally it is more reliant on Sign and HSK to kind of pull the weight in terms of fragging for that MVP side. So if he can get going and keep this kind of form up with fragging a lot, then obviously that could only mean good things for MVP.
And their opponent on the other side is Athletico. So let's go ahead and take a look at their roster. Natu, why don't you walk us through these guys?
Yeah, we got a Sonic Infrequent, Wizard, Liaz, and Aircast. He was a stand-in, right? That's
the Mongolian
right? And
stand-in.
Two, I guess Sonic and Infrequent have so far been our standout players. Infrequent with that opping, I guess for me at least, he's been the one that's really shown the most, shown that he can definitely pace himself correctly and do the right things on the server.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at our veto and pick process. Again, we're a best of three. Each team banned and picked, all the way down to one map being our tiebreaker. Why don't you walk us through this, Vendetta?
Well, yeah. So Atletico sticking to their first ban, which has been the case for all their games so far. Cobblestone going out. MVP doing a similar thing with banning out Cash makes sense. One of the more played maps for Atletico as well. So it's kind of a happy accident. Atletico picking Nuke, that makes a lot of sense simply because it's one of the maps that MVP never plays.
Yeah.
So already they're off to a great start in terms of the veto.
A lot of the Asian teams don't like the custom maps, generally speaking.
Yeah. And again, this is something that MVP are going to have to deal with, especially if they want to take the step into the next level. They're going to have to widen their map pool. And they're going to have to learn to play maps like this, because they can't be protected pretty much the entire time throughout the vetoes, because you're not going to have two bans in a row.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is you kind of need to have 6 maps you're comfortable on.
Exactly.
For the best of 3s. You only get 1 ban, and then there's 6 left, and you kind of have to be able to play on any of the 6.
Yeah. So and obviously after seeing Atletico pick up Nuke, we saw Overpass go in the way of MVP, which is a map that they have played quite a bit on their own. So again, this is going with their comfort pick.
That was a second ban for Athletico in their previous match.
Exactly, that too. So it works out very nicely for them, and I think it ended up on a third map, which was Mirage. And one of the big things about that is that we actually have seen MVP go away from Mirage in the previous matchups, actually opting to go with Train, which we thought was very weird initially.
And us too, then.
But then again, we had a talk with Ken
Inside
Yang.
intel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who had mentioned the fact that they actually feel pretty confident about Mirage, but they didn't actually want to go to it before it was absolute necessity. And I can't think of a better situation to actually have something particularly planned for a map than a Game 3 and a Decider. So it's not even might not be necessary for them to actually go to the map, but they at least have something, and it's not just a complete, toss out into the wild that they're just praying that they're not going to make it to map 3. They're actually, if it goes that far, they're going to be prepared for it.
All right, so first map, Nuke, and basically MVP gets the choice because it's Atletico's map, and they're going CT side to start, which is standard, right?
That's a lifeline.
If you didn't do that,
that makes sense, especially because they don't play the map. So for them to be like, guys, we're going to go T side. This is going to be amazing. I have so many great ideas in my head.
Yeah, the last time they played an official game, according to HLTV, is 14th of August on Nuke, that is. And it's not been pretty for them on Nuke.
No, it's like one of the maps where they actually lose versus other Korean teams, which they don't really do, just straight up.
Yeah, and like we've noticed in other tournaments as well, it's a map that really does need a lot of grinding. It's not even easy on the CT side, even though it is a CT-sided map still. It's still a map that needs a lot of coordination, good rotations to be able to hold off opponents coming in attacking. For example, if your opponents are doing like a yard split towards Secret with the usual wall of smoke, what do you do? How do you react? Who do you send downstairs? Who's going to hold what? That kind of a thing. It takes a bit of practice to actually have it on check. So I think this is going to be a bit of a curveball for MVP when it comes to his best of 3.
Well, and you had mentioned that MVP is now 3-1 overall against this team. Guess the one map that Athletico won.
That was Nuke.
Was Nuke.
Yeah.
Hey-o. All right, let's bring in the Face It gentlemen in. Let's get this thing rolling. Gentlemen, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you very much. Pretty good. I'm actually quite surprised we're going to Nuke, to be honest.
Okay.
I think this is going to be, well, yeah, definitely not really very fun for MVP. That's
exactly,
that's for sure.
Right.
So yeah,
is it a fun map for anybody though? I don't know.
It's weird though because
Is it fun to cast? That's the question.
I don't think I've seen.
It's great fun. I'm very
teams
excited actually to cast this. It's my favorite map to cast.
Well, that almost sounded
So genuine.
No,
I'm not really sure what.
no. Of course, I'm trolling. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, it will develop into a better map to cast as time goes on. It's always difficult with the radar and so on. I'd rather cast and observe it, though. I'll tell you that.
For sure. Yeah,
I think anyone would agree on that.
It's definitely the hardest map to observe, no doubt. All right, well, that's going to do it for us, gentlemen. You want to throw some predictions out?
I think this is going to be Athletico actually picking this one up. Yeah,
Yeah, same as well.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Take it away.
All right. Well, James, whenever we have Nuke, right, it always feels like I've never seen two really good Nuke teams play each other. Still to this day, it's that one kind of new map that came in. Like we had over past, we had Cobblestone. After about 6 months, teams were playing them. We started to see development. I feel like Nuke never got that treatment.
Yeah, well, even old Nuke, I would say, didn't have that many teams who were very good on it. Teams like Astralis and NIP, for example, there weren't many teams playing at their level of the old Nuke. Although when it was there, those two teams up against each other, it was always great, really great and exciting to watch. But it's a time of the past now. So how long will it take us to get to that situation on a new Nuke? Only time will tell, as strats are still being developed and so on.
It's interesting too because of course the major's not too far away at this point. So you would think that's going to be a map that a lot of teams are going to start to really think, okay, we could get some edges here. We could really get some edges here, especially with the way that the veto system can work and you can have some randomization with the majors typically. But MVP and Athletico, definitely two teams I've never thought about from a Nuke perspective, that's for sure. So I'm quite curious. Obviously, the statistics of Athletico managing to find edges here in the past is definitely going to be quite nice that they've managed to find themselves starting on Nuke in a series, start off on a good foot.
Yeah, well, I mean, MVP, if this wasn't their first veto, then one would assume it's not their weakest map.
Yeah, you have to think that, yeah.
It's either that it's not their weakest map or they're trying to veto their opponent's strongest map. One of the two, we will find out which, perhaps, very shortly, as we kick things off here. And indeed, MVP starting on the CT side. Pistol soon to begin. Very curious to see what Athletico will offer on the pistol round, as I'm sure MVP will just have to wait and see, the map being the nature it is.
So we've got Smoke, the classic Smoke and Kit on Rinda. Always very nice. The combination is great at pulling T's out of position as you go for that Smoke defuse. So it's always a good one to
But that round is over and the glory is done. 4 UMPs and 1 M4 onto HSK. Plenty of grenades on the MVP side. Athletico all in. They're in here for the force buy. The grenade is deployed, but that's always going to be too late once the door is open, unless there were 4 people there and you could block somebody. Not the case though. So Athletico get a player on the low ground very quickly, and the challenge for MVP is to coordinate with their own players out of position. Now that Athletico have a forward person, Wizard just hanging around a secret area, trying to run distraction, while Athletico continue their charge towards ramp.
Yeah, so far pretty good. They get the entry frag with the PT-50. However, Argency still in position, although a very committed position it was, meaning that eventually he will go down. And only 2 frags to be made here, so 3 versus 3. And with the Kevlars here, there's possibility for some good damage to be done there. Just barely missing the frag onto Sam, but finished off with a Tech 9. Urkas with some excellent work in this round. 3 kills for him now. He's the last man alive against Rinda, and Rinda's position has been discovered as well. And there's plenty of time for Urkas to more or less go wherever the hell he wants. So this has turned into quite a disaster for MVP. And now Rinda will realize exactly where the bomb has been planted, but where his opponent lies is a different story. That's going to be completely unknown. We will not talk about that flash. I think that was not supposed to hit the ceiling there. So Rinda scanning around and might just have to go for the defuse here. Smoke, defuse, that's going to force Urkas out of his hidey hole, but where oh my god, he's just going straight for the defuse, and it looks like Urkas just didn't buy it. He just did not buy it when that smoke went down. He's just like, nope, not going to fall for it, but that was it. He just held it, and that's the round there for MVP, and what a round it was. But the damage they did with the bomb plant, Athletico definitely going for the buy here.
Yep, weapons will be wielded. Sound picking up the auto shotgun as well. I did get a buff that some people may have forgotten about, not the most frequently used weapon, but the spread of the shells of the shot rather was made closer together, which means it will do more damage at all ranges basically. So it has made it a lot more effective than it used to be. Much more viable weapon. So Wizard got down the vent early in the previous round and was behind the vents below on the lower level for a lot of that round, and ended up, I don't know, I switched to his POV on the laptop here, and he ended up running to flank somebody. I'm not sure if he knew they were there, but his position, his sound gave him away. Otherwise, that probably would have been the end of the round right there. 2-0 to MVP, however. Indeed, these AKs waiting to get to work in Frequent, maybe waiting for a bait from his teammate. Will they be able to trade? They will. Still control of the bomb here for the T side, and Frequent makes his way into the A site, and Sound had no idea what was going on. 4 versus 2, and it seems Athletico may get their first round on the board.
Yeah, really weird situation again, because Athletico did so much damage in the previous round. They found themselves in this spot. It's honestly very strange. Usually you expect, okay, you win the pistol round, you get that good money going, and then when that team comes in with a force buy and they actually start taking players down, they get the bomb planted, things start to get very complicated. And in light of that, MVP really need to hang on to these 2 weapons so that they can have something to work with in the next round. They need to be able to keep Athletico honest by taking some guns out of their hands. This is good work. But again, you need to keep those guns alive, and they will already lose HSK. Argency dies right at the end as well. Very unfortunate for MVP, and you can see exactly why they needed those 2 guns into this round. They've got absolutely no money, and this should be a round where Athletico could get some easy bank, give them some security into the future. We'll have to see if that is how it turns out, but Nuke is not as hopeless for the CTs with pistols as a map like Dust 2. So, MVP, we can't overlook their opportunities here to get a couple of frags on the board. They've actually invested a little bit. We've got some Deagles, CZ, P250 or 2, and even some Kevlar on sign. So, let's see if they can get some of those 1 Deags going. Well, okay, there's some P250 action. That's Sonic dead, but no guns to be picked up here for MVP.
Fast play from Athletico on the high ground. And like the late lurk on the low ground as well. Constantly flanks coming in from the outside and then cuts them open from the inside. 4-2. One player just popped out a secret. Was not spotted by the T's just yet. And down goes the bomb. Argent C with the CZ. CZ's so good on ecos and force buys. There is another example. And now Argent C's afforded the high ground, but he's just going to bait, make some noises on the ladder. But he has an AK, so he's going to save that for another round. What will his teammate do, though? Got himself a UMP. And he's got his Kevlar as well as a Molotov, so there's a lot for him to save in this situation, and it looks like he will be doing the same. Maybe positioning himself to get a better weapon on an exit frag as well. Potential there. Force sign. Hyper-aggressive player for MVP, being very enjoyable to watch today.
Yeah, he's been really impressive. There's been quite a few players that have just stood out massively. I mean, Infrequent's one of those. You know, Sign, I guess, would be one of the other ones. Especially for these two teams, those are the guys you'd look to specifically to deliver madness. And speaking of madness, I thought that was nerfed to James. I thought no longer could we see ridiculousness in midair, but there was no shame to that. I was just straight in the face. And well, MVP still with a few guns to work with, but it's just generally been kind of awkward after they lost that second round. Still pretty awkward for them. At least they can save a couple guns. The AK on HSK could cause some problems. And again, you'd expect some kind of an anti-eco round to be run here by Athletico. Ooh, caught with a reload. And but the classic anti-eco of this map is features the T's kind of running along the outside catwalk, getting themselves into the CT heaven position. And then you can kind of wrap onto the side there.
That is pretty awkward for Wizard. Very lucky to get away with that one. And it's been a dodgy start to this round for Athletico. 3 players are now tagged. HSK, I'm not sure if his position has been revealed. He hasn't fired a single shot with that AK just yet. So he could take these players by surprise. 2 men down now, and perhaps MVP are losing too many players. There comes HSK, but just the 1 kill for him. 2 would have been superb. Could be 1 after all. And that is the end of the round. So some good numbers taken from the Atletico side, but it's they who will take the round. All importantly, MVP coming back on the bye now after losing a number of rounds in a row, 3 in fact. So let's see if they can get back to winning ways. Good utility, good defuse kits, so on and so forth on the CT side. They are well equipped to deal with this round. HSK on the AWP as well. 5 AKs for the Atletico side. Now, we've seen in some rounds today that when the buy came in for the CTs, the Ts went for a fast break rather than going for mid control on a map with a mid. It just went straight into one of the sites. So I do wonder if Athletico are going to execute into a site immediately. Seem to be lining up for grenades into the glass ceiling to breach. Where is Sound? He's in A, just keeping an eye on the hut for the time being. Athletico maybe waiting for a timing to execute into the A sites here.
Yeah, we should see some of these Molotovs on top of the huts, as you can see right there. Very important one and very effective. That's also very effective. Very lightning fast reactions there from Lies. He's not done. He gets a 3rd kill there as well on the entry. And everyone from MVP is getting completely shut down. HSK is just left just alone, thinking, you know, just what the hell just happened? Those 3 entries from Lies were so incredibly quick. And you can start to see the reasons why Athletico have had success on this map against MVP in the past. Clearly, this is a map where they have a lot of practice hours, because that was a pretty nice drill and some confidence out of Lias on the entry frag. So HSK just trying desperately to keep his AWP alive. Have to see if he can do so. That's a good start. Now they know where he is, and Infrequent will take him down. So very nicely done by Athletico. They are looking pretty strong right now. Look at the money again for MVP. It's desperate.
Yeah. Do you wonder if this will end up being a gimmick pick, if you will, in the sense that it's a kind of a cheap win for Athletico. Still early days though, but indeed that was expected, a straight execute into to break the money of MVP immediately as soon as they come back on the buy. It's a common theme that we have seen in Counter-Strike as of late. You could see it here and there, the kind of shock and awe play when they know their team are on their big buy. Just overwhelm them immediately and then put them straight back on eco. But indeed, that play is coming in more often these days. Back on the pistols for MVP. Sign with a flashbang. That's great. That's great news, Dan. He's got a flash. That's really good news.
Well, Elias is having some fun. Able to take that position on top of the silo and put it to great use. So quick kill for him. And really it's a bit of a formality rounds like this. You know, you always have to be somewhat careful, but as I said, the classic anti-eco on this map is you run a lot of teaser on the kind of the catwalk that now is there for the tease that you can kind of run along for the entire way. And then you find yourselves at the CT kind of heaven position above the ladder. And that is then a great position, a great vantage point to attack the upper bond site. It's probably the lowest risk option because you have open ranges for the entire journey except that one choke point, but that's very easy to manage. Oh, this is not good. Nice take there of the lobby position. That's going to give a couple guns here to MVP.
3 players, the 3 final players for Athletico in secret. You see the rotation coming in quickly for MVP. 25 seconds left, and that's not great. They need to get a lot of picks here before they get the bomb down. They've got one smoke the T side to try and plant the bomb with, but Argentina on the high ground, and this is a problem. With not enough time on the clock, it's going to cause bedlam and anarchy, and that will favour MVP on this occasion. Still just one player on the rifle for the CT side, and now Liaz will be in a 3 versus 1 triple peak coming in. And MVP will take an unlikely round, kind of stolen away from Athletico.
Yeah, Argency picking up 4 kills in that round. Very nice play. Obviously, he is the guy to actually get the kills, but a lot of it was the coordination and the timings that were found by MVP as they overwhelm positions like lobby as a team and so on to allow for the frags to happen. So great team effort there from MVP. And again, showing why pistols can be quite dangerous and why you need these anti-eco rounds, which we have yet to see really from Athletico. But all the prominent nuke teams that I've watched play this map run that anti-eco I was describing. One good example of a team that do it is Echo Fox, actually. I may not reference them for anything else, but for their nuke play, they have a lot of good rounds.
MVP have a player boosted towards the ramp. A very curious position created by Valve, where they kind of stopped you hiding deep in a corner, but then allowed you to hide deep in the corner, boosted up. Which allows you to avoid tons of flashbangs. That said, MVP may be running out of numbers to effectively use that position. They may have to give it up if they decide that holding ramp in a 3 versus 5 is no longer viable, tenable. Athletico, though, they're playing slow once again, giving MVP opportunities to hang themselves. Although they're taking those opportunities by force, Athletico, and determining the fate of these MVP players. 1 kill, Athletico fighting straight back, and that resets the loss bonus of the CT side, and their money is shoddy, to say the least.
Yeah, pretty much the worst possible thing to happen. And MVP have yet to really show us that they have the ability to have strong defenses when they have the buy versus buy situation going for them. When you win those rounds with the pistols on the ecos, I mean, that can happen, maybe 1 in 10 times, you should see that happen. But also at the same time, if you factor in that Athletico didn't have an optimal anti-eco round, maybe it's a little bit more likely, but still at the same time, it's by no means a consistent result. And the other win we had from MVP, that was a pistol victory. Just generally so far, we've not seen, legitimate rounds won by MVP where they are able to stand with a full buy versus a full buy of Athletico. So how many more rounds will Athletico concede on this first half? So far it's been looking quite good, but there's the bomb, and again, weirdness ensues as we get more players who have tagged up getting eliminated by pistols. This is so strange.
Yeah, so many close quarters engagements. Really nice map for CZs and 5-7s is new. You see the effect of them. AK stolen away. It's going to live Liaz in a 1 versus 4. But a bunch of these players are heavily tagged, and only one has Kevlar. So as long as he gets himself 1 versus 1s, there's a chance for him. But he's not the one holding an angle here. He's not the one who can just wait Nice double peek angle coming in from MVP, and they will fight straight back. There's still money for 4 of these 5 Athletico players to buy, and indeed they'll do exactly that. So this is a scrappy one.
Yeah, that was, I mean, last time it was Argency that got the 4 kills. This time it's Sound that got the 4 kills for MVP in a similar situation. So MVP is scraping by some rounds. Again, you know, we're not seeing the anti-eco strategies from Athletico that we saw from them on maps like, I believe it was Dust 2 and even Cash, where we saw decent anti-eco strategies. But Nuke seems to be a little bit missing so far. And I mean, credit to MVP, they've been exploiting that pretty wonderfully so far. And Athletico, they have enough to get a buy-in, but Infrequent stuck on a deagle. Good information found by the jumping Rinder. And we have Sound on the catwalk as well. So MVP looking to post a fight for the outside. Oh, that is why Infrequent's on the deagle. That was fast. See you later, Sound.
Yeah, his aim is pretty robotic as well, which is kind of cool. It's like a laser sight looking for people. Nice work being done by Rinder. No response just yet from the T's. Oh, they're in trouble. They could lose more players here to that one man. Finally goes down. Less than a minute on the clock. The bomb still in control of Athletico. The numbers game is awkward for both teams now, with 3 players aside. Bomb is outside. So, what can they do with the situation? Athletico, pressure's on them. That clock is ticking down. Fast uncomfortable as well. Sign with a lovely angle. Going to thin the numbers yet more. One below him. He's not ready for that one. Sonic with a nicely awkward angle. It looks like they may plant for CT. Plant for Heaven. Argency coming up the vent, but he will get taken down. It's going to leave HSK alone. Approaching the hut, but Sonic, he's got 2 angles to check. Ooh, 1 versus 1. Not ready though for the close engagement, and Cast will take the round for Athletico. This is quite the back and forth at the moment. 1 round, 1 to each side for the last 4. Constantly trading advantages. Now what are MVP going to do? Sound can drop some pistols for some teammates, as can HSK, and indeed I think a few pistols may have been distributed. HSK going to the deagle. Actually, no. So Sign on the 5-7. And there's another 5-7 and a deagle. We'll see what they could do if Athletico can stop the shenanigans on this time. I mean, MVP had a good time to push into through huts on the previous round to get some cheeky kills. And speaking of the level, that's going to happen exactly again from Squeaky Door this time.
But this is the thing as well, like, even though it's going backwards and forwards, the team that's had more money in these exchanges has always been Athletico because of the start that they got. So it's kind of insane that it's continually happening. It's definitely does not bode well for the future of Athletico. More damage being done. And even if MVP do not win this round, they're probably getting at least 1 more kill here. And even if they don't, they've already done some good damage once again to Athletico's economy. So they're not able to compound their advantages as much as maybe they would like. Sound just creeping around now and seeing what he can find. And Athletico, they have no idea exactly where he possibly could be just yet. So they might just run a player into him. The element of surprise is the largest commodity that Sound currently possesses. That bomb is planted and quickly peeks out, gets the frag, and 3 kills then for MVP in that round. Very good result if you consider the investment they had. It was very limited.
Let's see what MVP choose to do.
Yeah.
The money's in a viable range, but it's not perfect by any means. There is a pause at present.
Should definitely be buying though in this round, and I mean, the interesting thing as well is that they don't seem super happy to just give up outside, as you would see a lot of teams do. They often want to go for challenges in most cases. And that's also at the same time, you don't really see Athletico, trying to wall off with smokes as much. They just want, I mean, it works that way because it works quite well for Athletico because MVP are so committed in some spots and they end up losing a man or 2 outside instead of just giving it up and then rotating. That's one thing that's really strong for the CTs. on this map is the rotation times. It's very different to other maps where you can just very quickly rotate people down to the lower bomb site. So you don't get as much disadvantage as the CTs if you go down a man on this map as you would on other maps, just because you can play the rotations much more quickly. So it looks like potentially Leah's setting up for some grenades again. So we might see that set piece. But previously, Leah's, in one of the set pieces we saw from Athletico, he was actually one of the entry men. And this time he's throwing the nades from the roof. So it must be a different set piece potentially. Indeed, Urkis is the entry man this time, and he's going to find his entries. Leah's coming in with one as well.
All the entries, every single door. Team kill coming in, but that's becoming a norm in these matches. So it's perfectly fine. 4 versus 1, HSK has to give it up with the AWP and try and hold on to that, but that might be difficult. 2 shots missed from HSK and another one. And that'll be that. Athletico now starting to pull away with the score in the first half. Double the score of their opponents. MVP's money is in Eco Town. But we've seen the success they've been able to have with pistols here and there to get the right kills in the right places. Then who knows where this round will go, so I'm not going to count anybody out just yet. But Athletico definitely going to be wielding all the toys in this particular round. The AKs, all the utility. There's 1 HE onto Sound. And that's it. Will that be going outside? I remember the days of double, triple, quadruple nades outside on eco rounds. Those were really nice. Grenade has been deployed, but I don't think it was the outside.
Still works in matchmaking.
Of course.
Yeah, that's so you'll always have that in matchmaking at the very least. It's actually funny how much success MVP have on creeping through both, like creeping into lobby, like past the choke points, past the door, past the hut entrances. They have a lot of liberty and have had liberties there, and in many ways that's been how they picked up guns in the rounds in which they've won. For the rounds where they've had ecos, and again, it's a similar situation. Sound has found himself an AK, and again, it's a very strong scoreline for Athletico, but I can't help but feel like it could be a lot stronger, like maybe something like 10-2 or something instead of the 8-4 that we're seeing here on the scoreboard at the moment.
Yeah, some unlikely rounds won by the MVP project. But Athletico seems to be improving on the anti-ecos each time they come around. Had good timing to very quickly get the bomb down, and once they had the high grounds through heaven. So Sound desperately holding on to his AK. Ooh, is there enough time? Is there enough time? Oh, the tease. Flashed a bit of leg and took it all away. MVP, time to buy once again. Last 2 rounds of the first half. Liaz once again putting in great numbers there, charging in front of his teammates, being frequent, never too far behind.
Yeah, and he's on the AWP now as well, so that's going to be fun to see exactly where he decides to use it. It's rarer that you'd see the AWP go straight towards, ramp room, but it's not that uncommon.
Capital N in his name, wow. Very edgy.
Yeah, indeed. So just basically trying to help the push here once the door was open, looking for the longer range angles towards the towards the garage. So no poke into ramp, no poke outside from infrequent. Ooh, nicely done, HSK. Good adjustment there. Finding himself the head in reaction to Sound. Actually, yes, HSK didn't get tagged once. That was a very important position as well. Had HSK gone down, which you would expect that he should have done there from Sound, then there's an insane amount of pressure coming into the lower bomb site, which messes with the rotation and gives so many options here for Athletico. But instead, they have to find a new avenue of attack. And it's going to be MVP looking for those avenues and taking them away. Good flash into a frag there onto Urkas. And that's going to give MVP a very strong and decisive advantage into this round, as the last attempt really comes in from Athletico onto the upper bomb site.
Finally, they will get an opening into this particular round. I'm sure there's some cover. Oh, the Molotov! I thought I was going to go back and pull on his teammate. Either way, the kills are coming the way of the CT side, and that is a clear bomb site now. It seems Athletico, some of these rounds, they've tried to get a T early, into the lower area, maybe just to pull MVP out of position, because for the most part they just loiter around the back of the vent. So I think they're trying to use that player to give them holes in the defenses elsewhere. Hasn't worked out on either occasion, however, which is maybe just a case of being unfortunate. Last round, AWPs onto both sides. HSK, who was the man to clean up that lower area in the previous round, now will be on the sniper, as well infrequent once again.
And it's always fun as well to see teams in this environment, because I think the LAN environment always has an element of fatigue playing into it as well, especially when you get into like the 10 hours plus played, as we're, I think, currently around there as well. These teams have been here all day playing the Counter-Strikes, and an important last round here on the first half for both teams. Athletico could extend to 10-5, where MVP could save themselves and salvage the first half with 6 rounds. It's workable there as they would move on. And HSK not really seeing much of a, I was about to say much of a challenge. Infrequent actually going straight onto the angle there. Just as a push comes into towards the hot area, that's going to give Athletico an in. They're going to take that in and move straight into that upper bomb site. Entries being found here left and right, but losing men in the trades to the MVP players, the remainder, as HSK is the last man standing here for MVP, and Lias for Athletico is trying to find his way onto a bomb plant, and he will be successful. HSK switches out for the M4, and he's going to make his way over.
So Lias has exited the site. A smoke grenade was deployed as well to ask more questions of HSK. Looking towards the control room. Now Lias is in the vent straight above him. And HSK has no idea where he might be. And Death from Above will finish off the first half 10-5 in favor of Athletico. Very rough start, a rocky start indeed. That it could be a 12-3, 13-2 if were it not for some 5-7s around the hut area.
Definitely, it's been a little bit shaky. I almost heard when you said Death from Above, I almost heard you say Death from Above.
I did say Death from Above.
Okay, I thought I heard that.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting because we have seen a lot of team kills. So in many ways, there have been
Death from Above.
deaths from Above.
Oi, bruv. Right then, MVP going to have Grenade Man on Argency. Ooh, we have a raid boss. He has dropped a Tech 9 for Sound. Very curious to see what Sound will be offering us in this particular run, no pun intended. He is, well, this is him. We are in tow with, we're in the driving seat with Sound. 3 men moving towards the ramp area. Make it 4, actually. And I like the decision-making here from the Mongolian. Going to be moving back, playing the numbers game with his teammates. The one has been taken down. Wizards on dual breasters. Haven't even mentioned that yet. Which is interesting on the CT side. I guess if you're playing maybe around Squeaky, expecting a rush, then the dualies would make sense. Or he has the range advantage with USB. Either way, the bomb's gone down, and so have some CTs. There it is, the dualies spam. Is this CSGO or is this Red Dead Redemption, Dan?
Yeah, you don't often actually ever see this work out. I know a lot of players try to make it their thing for a while, but I actually see a couple kills made there. But Infrequent's in the clutch mode, 1 versus 2. Shot in the side of the face. Not a good way to go.
In the face.
MVP picking up the much-needed pistol round. And there is definitely a lot of opportunity for them to tie things up here. And, you know, the CT to T dynamic is always going to be very different. And especially for a team that's not as well-versed on a map, as it does appear that, you know, MVP, they're not as familiar or practiced on Nuke. It's definitely one of the weaker ones in their map pool. The T side could potentially grant them a lot of opportunity. We'll have to see.
Triple nades. Where are they going? All the nade players are going outside. They're going outside. Oh, the triple nades. Here we go. Ah. Sound down to 50 HP. And here come the pistols. 2 more players to fight. Can he prevail at this angle? Looks like he's good for the time being. Got support from his teammates as well. Lovely stuff.
Clean. It is clean. I know you're sad the triple nades did not do anything really.
I am sad, yes. I am sad. I love
it's one of Henry G's favorite strats.
a collection of grenades sailing through the air.
If you play a pickup with Henry G, there will be triple nades.
I love me some triple nades. Henry G's not bad either. That could have gone very, Very weird. 3 rounds deficit for the MVP side. Mac 10's coming out. Love a Mac 10 on Nuke. It's always good as well. I like grenades, Mac 10s, longbox on the beach, and shotguns.
Ooh, the grinder. Oh, everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. Just Sonic left with that USP. And he's dead as well. So, quick affair, that's good. It's always good to see. Get it out the way with. Get it out the way with. And Athletico will have their bye round now, so it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. And also whether or not MVP have a lot of, a lot of tactics, basically. Good nade placement and so on.
I'm glad that Argency swapped out the Mac 10 because this is not a map where you're going to have particularly favorable ranges to use that Mac 10, even if you expect your opponent to be lacking in helmets.
Yeah. Where do you go with a Mac 10 on this map? I guess maybe an upper rush or a ramp rush potentially, but still, even then it's just a little bit lackluster.
The damage fall off of the SMGs is just too great. Oh man, this guy.
He's so fast.
This guy is disgusting. Even with the AK, when he was on a T side, looking towards heaven from the outside, just the way he was doing some kind of rectangle movements with his crosshairs really quickly, very accurately as well. It was nice to see. Liaz with an off angle. It's not going to prevail for him though. 4 HP for Rinda, but he survives. Ooh, now there are problems. The bomb's dropped and Sonic's in a position to take both of them. I mean, he should realize that the guy who killed his teammate is still alive. Now he's dead, and the bomb is at his feet. It's wrapped up. It's got a bow on top, and it's covered in candy.
And this is generally where you could see problems for Athletico's defense, is if they're able to get past spots where Infrequent is going to have a good time with the AWP, but it will be Sonic there picking up both kills. Great work from him for the quad kill in the round. 11-8 is the scoreline now as Athletico finally win one on the CT side.
That's a familiar story. I think it's not the first map where they've lost a number of CT rounds in a row before they get going. And that's given MVP enough money to have another buy coming straight at Athletico. Lots of utility as well, but do they have the stratego to execute with this utility and make life very difficult for Athletico? This is a big round for both teams, more so for MVP if they can break the CT side here. The door of opportunity is open and closed. Promptly closed.
Yeah, I mean, the MVP in this situation are just kind of slowing things down, looking for a potential overextension from Athletico, but it's not to be just yet. I like how they're working the nades into the ramp area. Good angle from Cassie can drop quite quickly. He can spot play, get a frag, maybe a quick frag, and then drop down and basically kind of block the T's from moving quickly. And he's just going to go straight down there, gets the information for his team that ramp is gone, and that's how Nuke works. You kind of concede some areas and you just rotate around it as the CTs. That's kind of how you do it. And Athletico are doing it just like that. Not going for the frags, but just going for supreme positioning based off of the information, and that works out quite nicely. In comes the push into the upper bomb site, and it looks like Wizard and Sonic quite ready for this. 4 kills between them.
Sign left in a horrible situation. It's a very bad situation for him. The re-smoke comes in as well. So just when you think couldn't get worse, it does. Is he choosing to just hold on to his AK in a situation? He's got 2,300 in the bank. Brutal long duel as well. Finally survives, but for 5 HP, he's in a very awkward spot. And he's running straight to his doom, but at least he doesn't die before the time runs out, so he gets his loss bonus. At least there's that. 4 rounds deficit for MVP. Money's been broken again. Rinda has a few $100 to spend in this particular round, should he choose to. Maybe Deagle for perhaps. Athletico with everything they want. All the toys, all the gifts. It's Christmas for the Oceanic side. The Oceanic 5, we could say. No. Reference to Lost almost. The Jira Airlines.
Haven't watched that show.
I keep telling you to, but you don't listen to me, do you? No, you don't.
I have time to watch 29 seasons of
What are you
Lost.
talking about? You did torrenting all the time. like legal torrenting of.
You mean like
books.
freeware?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we've got the pistols coming out for MVP, and Sonic should die here because the numbers game says you should die, and he will indeed die. He's dead. M4's been picked up. Now let's see what MVP can do with this. They have a lot of time on the clock, all things considered, and they've lost only the one person. So opportunity knocks infrequent, maybe taking matters into his own hands. Wizard may get isolated in the crossfire as well, but he's doing a good job at the moment. Nice hold from him. Down goes the M4 as well, leaving Sound alone. The only sound will be bullets clattering into his face. 13-8.
Yeah, Wizards have been doing quite well actually on the upper bomb side. Actually, generally the frags are distributed pretty evenly across the Athletico players. But yeah, I mean, MVP are struggling to find their way in. And largely it's because you can see, I mean, you can kind of see the difference, right? MVP, when they were on their CT side, they weren't ever really all that ready to give up positions, to, rotate around them. It feels like they didn't have as good a grip of the dynamic of like playing CT on Nuke as Athletico is showing here. Because Athletico, they're very consistent in how they're giving up positioning. They're not overextending in a lot of spots. They are more or less, forcing MVP to push into choke points, and that's where these rounds generally end up. Is a situation like we just saw, where you got Wizard in a spot where he's got two guys who may be a bit blind running through a smoke, and he gets the kills because it's late into the round and they're forced to move there. So, generally speaking, Athletico have been playing better CT Nuke for sure. So, will that continue? One more buy for MVP. No AWP though. Which is probably a good thing, actually, for them. Infrequent, just scanning around. Terminator mode. This guy is Terminator.
Penetration tag as well. Sound down to 16 HP. Knew nothing about it. Cass has gone down, but that dangerous man Infrequent is still alive for the time being. Moved back to more passive position. Trying to be as safe as possible. Avoids the flashbang as well. Sound almost drops to his death, but not quite. Sonic goes down in the meantime. Infrequent backing off. Doesn't realize that he's tagged this player already. Just one pistol shot required, and Infrequent will finally go down. Has he bought time for his teammates, so that they're at a man disadvantage? Can quickly be evened up. Speaking of which, HSK goes down. There's a flank coming towards the ramp as well, which is right there. Sound goes down, leaving Rinder alone. He can't do anything more, and Athletico will bring it to 14.
Pretty good result, Athletico. I mean, again, somewhat of an expected result. So far, they do seem to be the better Nuke side. MVP will have another buy in store, but Athletico seem confident. We did see a couple rare misses there from Infrequent as well to allow MVP into a position to win the round. But Athletico, they did this veto pretty well, James. They definitely did not mess up the veto.
Yep. Well, it's not over just yet. We have a buy on MVP. They are lacking grenades somewhat, but they have HSK on the AWP, looking on the high ground. But Athletico almost avoided the angle, but they have indeed been spotted. HSK heavily tagged, but he's got support. 3 big frags coming in for MVP, doing massive damage to Athletico here. Speaking of massive damage, Infrequent still alive. Got full health, almost as well. Sound is playing with fire, perhaps, but Infrequent needs to keep moving. Spots HSK, CZ coming out. That's smart, especially because HSK is quite tagged. Running for his life, but it only takes one connection. He had the bomb as well. That's why he was legging it, but he couldn't get away fast enough. Bomb spotted, but what can Infrequent do? He's last man standing now. Needs to keep getting 1 versus 1s. Slowly approaching to collect the bomb. He's got a good position here. Oh, he's never missing that shot. That is very unfortunate for him. Athletico can still buy for the most part. 5-round lead as well.
Yeah, that's very disappointing, isn't it? I felt like he was very much on for the clutch there, but not to be in the end. And this was really the great start here, just capitalizing on the aggression. And again, it's a funny situation. We've seen it happen frequently today, whereby a team that's already winning just by playing it, passively, playing it defensively. They're like, we're just doing all the same thing all the time. Let's mix it up. Let's go aggressive and do something that is untested. Then they get shut down, and they give their opponent a way back into the map. And you can see Athletico actually getting some frags made here with these pistols. But the upper bomb site will be overwhelmed eventually by the T's MVP project with the superior weaponry. And they will claim the round. So 10-14, and despite Athletico having, being better on Nuke here, MVP are taking this dangerously close.
Athletico short of utility in this particular round, but Infrequent has the AWP. That's important. Liaz has his M4 as well. Top fragging for his team. He's been very consistent today. Continues to be. MVP 4 rounds behind. They have a better buy than the CTs on this occasion. And opportunity knocks for the side. As there's practically no money left on the CT economy. So they can continue this catch-up game. Interesting smokes being deployed outside. We'll see where they are headed. Indeed, they've gone for a wall of smokes between T-Red and Secret. Looking to see if there's any response from the CTs just yet. Around the Secret area. Third player making his way down there. Oh, the timing there. Wizard taking down HSK as those smokes dissipate. There's a player above him, unbeknownst to him, perhaps. Rindo going back just in case there's a flank from one of these CTs. But just by their time in main, Sonic, will you realise that somebody's just around a corner from him on the high ground of heaven? That's Argency. And now Sonic will get taken down. Wizard putting in great work elsewhere. 2-man spray down for him. 3 versus 2 now in favour of Athletico.
The bomb is down though. That's a really big problem. They need to get the bomb picked up, and Argency gets caught off guard by Urkus as he comes up the ladder. That round has so much potential there from MVP, but it kind of just fell apart right at the end. And now Athletico 1 round away from taking map 1 away from MVP. And that will be a great start for them against a team that probably has a better map pool overall. This would be a much, much needed way to start the series off. And statistically, we don't expect MVP to lose this, but with a 1-map advantage, it's very for Athletico, that's very possible. We'll have to see how it turns out in the end. We do have MVP on an okay-ish buy. They've got some rifles, they've got a Tech 9, limited on grenades here. Is James Argency just ran in there. He's just going for it by himself. We will not work out this time. And MVP don't really get anything from that aggression.
Yeah, maybe feel like he had a forward spawn or a plan in mind. Ooh, Infrequent spots a gap. 2 players down. Not sure if he saw the second one. Sign in an interesting position, which will net him a frag. Sonic looking for a flank, but Sign was ready and waiting. The hyper-aggressive player turning into a lurker. What can they do with this? Oh, Liaz with that gimmick spot above the door, but sounds ready for him. And the B-bomb site looks very likely for MVP in this situation, but all the players are on the low ground. Where are the CTs though? Well, there's one taken down as well. Now we've got 2 coming in from the ramp position. Bomb planted at the back. Oh, very nice burst. Still advantages for MVP, however. Urkas moving along the high ground. Will he check the other side of the ramp though? Because that has a T there. Not ready for the angle, but neither was HSK. Very quietly moving Urkas. That will pay off for him. Try and bait players out. Nicely done. He'll get traded though. But it's Sound versus Infrequent. Infrequent with the AWP and the P250. And Sound's just going to run around and try to avoid him. And then take him down.
What an effort from Urkas. He got a quad kill to almost save the round. Kind of nuts, to be honest. And Athletico, still on 15. Of course, because you don't lose rounds once you have them. But MVP slowly finding a way to climb back. But they did lose a lot of players there. So their buy is really weird. Mac 10. Going to see a Mac 10, which is always fun. Obviously, this time he will the Argency will with that Mac 10 be up against Kevlar-less, helmetless opponents. So that's much more ideal. And we might end up seeing fast play from him. Holding just the ramp push down for now, which is actually really smart. It's quite a common way for CTs to actually try to gain some control, is actually to push into lobby, and you can actually catch off players or isolate players that are alone by doing that oftentimes. So it's good that Argency was on radio room duty, but no longer.
Argency on the high ground. These CTs are quite spread out at the moment. Infrequent and Wizard have a crossfire in the A site. Sonic on the high ground around Heaven. Cass has boosted Liaz on towards the ramp position. So it's a fairly standard setup from Athletico, not really stacking a site. Argency with a blind spot there, going to miss that. Sonic trying to go for maybe a 180 jump, and Bedlam and Anarchy will net more frags for the CT side. But there's still opportunity for MVP to clean things up. The bomb's falling down into the site. Now we're down to the 1 versus 1. Liaz spots the last player as well. Just needs to get out. Tries to jump and hit the girder. He hasn't picked up a weapon yet, just yet. And HSK on the AWP, that makes things even more awkward. Running away now. Liaz going to open a door again, but still, he hasn't picked anything up to fight with. Just down to the pistols here. One player with armor, one player without.
It's so strange. You've got to feel like there's a gun somewhere, but he's still on the USP. Can't find one. Very frustrating stuff for Mr. Liaz as he tries to clutch this one. What a massive situation here. HSK gets some good tags, and that's the round there as well. I mean, what could Liaz really do? I mean, just stuck on a USP. Very awkward. I'm sure he was screaming to his teammates. Where is it gone?
He picked up an orb. He picked up an orb at the end.
I think that was right in front of the actual bomb, though.
Yeah. So but he went for the slow peek. Didn't work out for him. He had to go for the no scope, man. Let's go for the no scope strafe. 3 rounds between these two sides. Some of Atletico buying already, but the tactical pause has come in from the Atletico side just to discuss how they will proceed in this round. Famas coming out for Liaz. Wizard yet to buy. 36.50 in the bank. And he'll go for the max 7. Don't see it as much as we used to. The general shotguns on the CT side towards the squeaky door mainly. Perhaps we will on this occasion.
Yeah, it used to be a very exciting thing to watch. We haven't seen too much in the way of upper plays or plays into upper, like in a fast way from MVP though. It was much more an Athletico thing. Obviously, Athletico have some drills, which was enabling them to do so, because you do need to have nades to back it up typically. Ooh, this is very nice. HSK going for a deep peek here. Very, very awesome idea. Not quite panning out for HSK, but Sound is able to actually get the frag, as it did trigger Wizard to he felt like, okay, there's a guy close with the AWP. He misses that shot. That's my time to go in, but the cover was there. And we'll have to see whether or not that quick kill here can actually give MVP the advantage. Because Athletico don't have any money should they lose this round. So things are starting to get worrying for what is the favored team on this map.
Will of smoke outside once again. But Infrequent may realize that there's nobody going outside because they don't use that third smoke to hide the cross towards T-Red. Cast over on ramp. 54 seconds left, and MVP in a great spot to trade worst case scenario. Not required though. HSK with a nice pick off of the ramp area. So will it be B? That's probably the read of the CTs. Infrequent though, still staying around the squeaky door area. Liaz holding things down for the time being. Trying to run distraction, opening, closing the door. Trying to delay any plant. Infrequent goes down. Made his way to the downstairs area, and now things looking awkward for the final 2 Atletico players. There's one stuck between MVP and MVP, leaving Sonic alone, trying to clutch. One frag won't be enough, and the gap continues to close. This is quite a comeback from MVP.
Yeah, it definitely is. And one interesting too is that this seemingly is a map where you see a less value from Infrequent on the orb, potentially, and which is quite interesting because in a lot of the other maps we've seen of Athletico, it's been Infrequent have been much more of a factor on retakes or holding down the bomb sites. Generally being all over the place. As an AWPer, he's been a big factor, but not as much on this map so far. And anyway, moving back into this round, we've got of course just the eco, and the push comes in. Lots of players here moving into lobby for the Athletico side. Infrequent, speaking of, is the first to die. Sonic found now as well. Ooh, I'm not sure if the pixel was spotted there by Argency, but he's definitely going to see Wizard chasing him up the ladder. So just 2 players left now. Pretty good work overall by MVP, but of course it was just Athletico pushing into them. And now it's just Cast and Liaz. And we've seen a lot of chaos in some of these pistol rounds, but this finally looks like somewhat more of a normal result. So do you think Athletico are a team that's struggled to close, James, or how do you feel about this? Because of course we had the situation previously with them.
Let's see how this map concludes first. Still, the sample size is pretty small, so don't want to make any conclusions. Hercast has exited the Heaven position, and he's down to 10 HP. Maybe thinking of abandoning ship, but I mean, unless he goes towards, well, I think he's just setting up to try and steal a weapon, but he needs to do it from a bit far back because 10 HP, he needs to be far away from these players. Sorry, from the bomb when it goes off, very far away indeed. Otherwise, he's simply going to die, which I think is very likely already. Exit coming in, can't do any more damage though. So now it's crunch time. Athletico must win this round, otherwise we're going to overtime again.
Yeah, and it seems like MVP have found a lot more success here with just the rifles moving forward. And Athletico as well, it's hard to really pinpoint, where they're struggling. But we'll have to see here, because this is, of course, one of the most important rounds for them. They need to close this, and they cannot afford to lose this map against MVP. They just cannot. I think if they want a chance in winning this series, this map has to feature a win for Athletico. And I love this peek here from HSK. We actually saw this previously from him. Last time it actually was able to get them a frag as he kind of like baited the player in. Oh, infrequent, able to take down Sign there. Very fortunate, just kind of looking in the right place at the right time. Able to capitalize, and Sign is now dead. Great start for Athletico. MVP looking to set up some smoke grenades now. You can see HSK lining one up.
As the wall of smoke's outside once again. Last time it was a fake. This time they may be headed in that direction with 3 players, including the bomb on sound. Cass, he's holding deep to avoid any or most flashbangs in that position. Very nasty stuff to deal with if you're on a T side. Scopes should be heard. MVP down to 4 players, moving towards main rather than using the wall of smokes towards B. And indeed, there's been a drop from infrequent into B to check if anybody's around secret. There's a bomb spotted though. Liaz coming in for the flank as well now. And it seems Athletico have waited for the last minute to have a very quick cleanup of MVP and take the first map 16-14. Oh, your mic appears to be dead then. Oh, he's going to say, what a relief. I'll try it. Oh, you're back. Welcome back.
Am I back? Yeah, I was going to say, what a relief there for Athletico after struggling to close that one. Again, they're able to get it right at the last moment.
Oh, you've gone again. Well, I prefer it this way anyway, so let's not try and fix his microphone. Scoot, stop trying to fix his microphone.
Sorry.
So
the production guy and me was all over the floor, like trying to fix the microphone. Never mind.
The first map has gone the way of Athletico, just about. Took them maybe for it to almost go to overtime to get that kick up the posterior to take things over the line. Did have a problem closing. I think this jury's still out. We'll see how the other maps go. But, I mean, it's a map that they should have won. It being their pick. Don't worry, Dan, your microphone works. You can talk now.
Hello? Hello.
Oh, no, it doesn't work. No, never mind. I'm very much enjoying this situation. This is thoroughly enjoyable. Yeah, I can talk and you can't. I could troll you, but I'm not going to because we're going to focus on the matches. 1-0 to Athletico. That's a score that it should have been. All things considered, it was their map. But they were. I mean, score-wise, it was very shaky, wasn't it, Dan? Yes, it was. So you have to worry about them for the rest of the series.
It's working again. That's good. I don't know what to say, James. I think you're doing a great job. You should just continue talking.
Well, I think the desk must surely be ready to take things back and give us their opinions.
Always.
We are ready to give you our opinions. I tried to fix your mic. I don't know. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Much closer than I think we thought. These two teams decided to make it a terrorist-sided map, which is generally not. But again, MVP literally was coming on strong at the end.
Yeah, coming on strong. I'm not really sure if that's the case of Athletico. The classic thing of you get to match point and then you kind of just let your foot off the pedal. It felt that kind of way because for the better part of it, MVP had no real grip in that game at all. So, and I think it was fairly evident. They did obviously had more success once they kind of laid off the op on HSK and started running around with rifles. I don't think there necessarily was like a direct correlation between the two, because HSK had been able to find frags for himself, but it would, like, the team in general just hadn't been able to capitalize on that previously. So no, I think this was more of a case of Athletico just losing focus for a tiny bit, and then obviously once the game starts getting out of control and you start losing grip on it, and obviously it's tough to get back. But this always felt like this was going to be their map to win.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 16-8, but turned out 16-14. It's just because they kept started doing really random things, like someone just pushing out a hut with no reason whatsoever, without a backup plan or having anyone that could get the refrag should that guy go down. So that's that's always going to be an advantage for the T side if you get to start 5-on-4 before you even really had to throw anything at the CTs.
Like even in ecos, it's kind of weird because given how CT side of the map is just by default, you can do a lot of damage, at least economic damage, to the T side just by playing smart and with your team, right? Setting up with crossfire, exactly, stuff like that. So it's weird. Like if you want to play aggressively on Nuke as CT, that's perfectly fine, especially during ecos, but do it together, right? Yep. Instead, we saw Athletico multiple times just kind of go by themselves, seeing that they, like, oh yeah, I could find a frag here if I'm really lucky and everything goes well. But you're only going to find that one frag. You're not going to pick up a weapon and bail with it and actually get into a scenario where you get an advantage that lasts from it, which is weird. So, even if it's an eco round, just don't throw it away because it's just an eco round, because that can actually mean a lot on a map like Nuke. You can actually get into multiple situations where just your angles and the positions you've picked is going to be so superior compared to the Ts that it doesn't really matter if you just have an USP or a P250 versus their head armor. Like, that's not going to matter at that point. So, would like to see more structure going forward. Obviously I think that's kind of a calling card for a lot of the maps here, but sure. Obviously that's something that we want to look forward to as we see them play more and more.
All right, we're going to take a look at our scoreboard and kind of look at the frags as well as the impact rating. So there you go. What's this show you, Natu? What are you seeing?
Well, you can tell from Athletico side, it's actually very even, which is a positive sign in my opinion. I mean, that's when he tells you that it's been a team effort. It hasn't been one guy just been dragging you along. The same goes for the impact rating as well. Liaz is the only one that's quite a little bit stretching it, but everyone else around that 9-10 mark.
Yeah, for the better part, solid team effort. I think that obviously these stats could have been very, very different if Athletico actually just closes it out at 15-8 and just kind of puts a stop to it right there. Sound had probably his best game of the tournament so far, which is encouraging for MVP. He's had a rough go with it initially. Downward trend for the two guys who've been leading the charge so far, though. Otherwise, than Sign and Brenda not having the greatest of games, but. It's 2 more maps to go. Hopefully, at least if you're MVP, you're going to have to assume that there's going to be 2 more maps. So there's still opportunities to get back into it.
I think the great sign for MVP is if I'm not totally mistaken, I think they won every pistol round except for one in their game so far. I'm pretty sure that's the stat.
Because they split pistol rounds in their last game versus NXL. No, what am I saying? Not NXL, but versus
Tyloo.
Exactly.
Yeah, They took both of them in the first Athletico match. They split on Tyloo, and they won both on Nuke.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. We also have our MVP. It's going to be Liaz for this map. Let's take a look at his stats.
Yeah, and, he was similar to the first game. He actually got an MVP, just getting constant frags, really, for his team and just being a very, very solid source of contribution for him. But, again, this was more like more of a team effort for me than anything else. And again, it doesn't really get frags that just blow you away in any sort of sense. It's not like the 3K insane opening type of deal. But yeah, just very solid overall. And I guess that's kind of what you want going into this kind of games, because you're gonna have to grind it out, and you see how it turns out towards the end, where it's literally just like every man has to find that a little bit of extra thing to push you over the edge, and he's going to bring that pretty much on a consistent basis.
It was evident to see that MVP really doesn't have a lot of experience on the map when the Australians were throwing in an A set piece, basically Molotoving on top of the hut and throwing the smokes and whatnot, and then coming in, MVP was just clueless in terms of how do we hold this off, or they were just getting overwhelmed everywhere. So kudos to Athletico for having those kind of set pieces, having thought out strategies really to play with, and that's always going to make it easier for you to win these kind of maps.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the fact that this was one of the maps that Athletico had picked off MVP in their previous meetings, right?
It's the only one.
Yeah, exactly.
The only one.
Right.
Yeah.
So, they've clearly done their homework. They know what their strengths are. And again, a bit misleading final result. I think there was a lot easy, or it's a lot clearer of a win for Athletico than what it ended up saying it was on the scoreboard. So, they should feel good about themselves going into the next map. But obviously, Overpass, pretty solid map for
let's talk about
MVP.
it,
It's a very solid map for MVP. Almost beat Tai Lu at it at IESF. Which is definitely pretty solid performance. As for again, it's a map that Atletico play, but I wouldn't say they've been matched up against the same kind of opponents, or at least have had the opportunity to be tested against the same kind of opponents as MVP has, and that does actually mean a lot. If you play versus better teams on a consistent basis on these maps, then you do get better at them. Even though you're not necessarily winning every game, you're still going to be playing at a higher level.
And prediction, gentlemen, for this map.
Well, I think we kind of alluded to previously that MVP is going to pick this one up, and I expect him to pick it up the series as well.
Okay.
But for Overpass, MVP is going to take it.
Yeah, I stand by that as well. I think MVP are going to pick up Overpass, and we're going to see it all kind of close out on Mirage.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. So it is do or die time for MVP. They are down one map. If they lose this second map after the break, they will be going home, and Atletico will be moving forward till tomorrow. But not over yet. So we are here live at the PGL CSGO Minor Championships here in Asia. Come back after the break for this one more and maybe two more maps if MVP can pull it out.